Meet Jaymz Collins, aka JC of JCs Comics and more.
Your pop culture superstore, which used to be JC's Comic Stop, which used to be the comic shop.
Jaymz has been selling comics for a while now. As a matter of fact, his first store opened way back in 1985.
Actually, this is Toledo's oldest comic shop. And despite some others might say that theirs are, but this is the oldest comic shop in town. Over 40 years now.
But JC's not just your run-of-the-mill comic book store guy.
I wanted to hear mindless droning. I'd befriend an air conditioner.
He's also an avid music fan. So I thought we'd stop into JC's shop and talk to him about comics, music, and whatever else comes up.
My dad had comic books from when he was a kid, so I'd read those when he'd have me on the weekends. I remember getting Amazing Spider-Man 44 and 45 for Christmas way back in the dark ages, and it's pretty much, you can almost say that the rest is history. I just loved comics and read comics my whole life, and went to the Navy for 4 years, got out, had a brilliant year at Bowling Green State University, doing a whole lot of nothing and not taking classes seriously. And Nick Mashinsky put his shop up for sale, and I was moving out to San Diego, and I thought, cool, I'll buy his shop and I'll get rich. I'm still waiting to get rich.
So at just 22 years old, JC was a young business owner with a lot to learn.
So when I opened up my doors on September 3rd, 1985, thinking that, cool, I'm gonna get all kinds of business, I think I did $12 that first day. It's like reality, like smacked me right in the face immediately, because I had mortgaged the house that was left to me by my grandparents, and could very well lose the house if this didn't work out.
But JC had a vision and stuck with it. And after studying some other comic shops around the area, he knew what he had to do.
And I wanted my shop to be that shop when you walked in, that there was so much cool stuff that you wanted it to be your comic shop. So I wanted to make sure I had the new issues and the back issues. And back then, you had t-shirts, you had posters, you had some buttons and pins, stuff like that. But certainly no really action figures or statues, or none of what it's become today. And that's one of the reasons why when I moved over here over 4 years ago, I changed the shop's name from JC's Comic Stop to JC's Comics and More, your pop culture superstore, to reflect sort of how the industry has changed since I've been here, and to reflect that we're more than just comic book.
When it comes to comic books, JC says don't forget the classics.
But the Amazing Spider-Man, that's my true love. The old 60s, 70s, 80s Marvel comics are certainly my true love. Comics were just so good. I mean, people can say whatever they want to say, but go back and read those old comics. I mean, they were written to a very highly supreme level. I think that even is superior to what's being put out now.
All right, time for a tour.
Got this copy of Armageddon from Chaos Comics, when Chaos was around, signed by Brian Pulido. What's great about this issue, this had its world premiere signing at my shop. You do not want to lose, you do not want to go to jail. It's not jail, you're not getting out. God rest Dave Brocky and Corey. Walking Dead #1, of course, the TV series would not be around if it wasn't for this that came out about 15 years ago. So we do have a copy of that for sale. But here's some Dallas Cowboys that are going to win some trophies at some point, whether anyone likes it or not. Just this is different artwork throughout the years of guests that I've had at my shop and stuff I...
Remember what I told you? JC was an avid music fan?
Friends who was doing Thor at the time. I brought him in, we picked him up in the limo, we went to go see Ace Frehley and Alice Cooper at the Toledo Sports Arena. Certainly I've been to, I've probably forgotten more concerts than most people will ever see.
What was your first concert?
My first concert was Blue Oyster Cult at the Sports Arena on October of 1980. And I was home on leave from the Navy at the time. I'd never seen a show when I was in high school, but I've seen BOC probably in excess of 60, 70 times. Certainly one of my favorite band. They just you know, they're responsible for me spending all the money on concerts and concert T-shirts and stuff. It's their fault.
So now JC gives himself a quick vacation every year to head over to Europe and check out some heavy metal music festivals, all still while running the shop, which he says ain't easy.
Being a business owner, being an independent business owner, it's very, very challenging. You know, even being in business for over 3 decades, people would think that it's probably easier now than what it's ever been. It's more challenging now than it's ever been. You know, putting in more hours than you ever have to. Again, trying to make your shop, the best that they can see. I'll get people from out of town all the time that will come in, be amazed by my shop, and I'm just blown away that some of these larger places with a much larger population base, I'd figure that they would have shops that would be at least equal to mine, and it's not the case. I think my shop is certainly a gem that the people of Toledo, since being here for over 3 decades, you kind of become accustomed to it. Horror, 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 the horror of it all.